Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm ShyWizard. I'm going to be looking at creating a placeable lime refill station. This is going to be based around the placeable refill station from Giant Software. If we look at the mod desk, you can see from Giant Software with all the appropriate parts there. So I want to actually create whatever I need from what I've got here, so I don't have to model it myself or whatever else, but if you wanted to do that, by all means go for it. So I'm just going to base this around the fertilizer refill tank and then just change what I need to get it to work for lime. So as you can see here, we have a decal on the side for the fertilizer. This is solid fertilizer. So I'm going to just take everything from here and then make my edits to show something different. So I'm going to go File, Export All with Files. I'm going to go to my desktop, create a new folder. I'm going to call this fs17 underscore lime refill station. That should be fine. And what I'll do is I'll actually take the name from there. So I just want that part, and I'm going to copy that. We'll open the folder up, paste that into there, so I have my name from my i3D. Save, yes, keep parent directory structure, then close that one down. Okay, so if I minimize that one, we now have our folder here with the new i3D and everything in it. So I'm going to open this one up just to make sure I have no errors in the console. And all the textures are joining in. Fantastic, so that's good. Okay, so the decal that is being applied is this one here, and the bake of the particular decal to the different refill stations will be appropriate to parts on the decal itself. So for the solid fertilizer, it will use this line for the decal. For the seeds, it will use this one, and for liquid fertilizer, it will use this line. But obviously for this, for what I want to do, this is not going to really work for me. So I need to make a change to this decal to then show up on my refill station. So I've taken the HUD from the additional map types Lua scripted pack, which is for lime, this one here, and I'm going to basically just add that into here on a new layer and then delete everything else. So I'm going to just go image, no, I'm not going to go layers, import from file. I'm going to go to my desktop and find the actual HUD that I want to use here, the image. So I'm going to double click that one and bring it in, and it's pretty much the right size, but it just might need a little bit of tweaking to get it to overlap what we already have. Something like that I think will be okay. And all I'm going to do then is just make a copy of it and paste, and I'm just going to drag across and put it there, and then I'm going to go paste, drag across and put it here, something like that, and then I'm just going to go paste, and I'll move this out of the way a little bit, and I'm just going to drag this one across to somewhere like that. That should be fine. Might need to be a bit more careful with the placement than I am for the video here, but I just wanted to get it in there as quickly as possible. So what I can do now is select the background one. Now that I know I've got the alignment correct, if I actually deselect all of that, with the background, which is the original texture displayed, I can come down and delete it, because we now have our new one here. So if you don't have this layers window open, you just come up to the top here where it says layers, and you can just click that and it'll bring this window open, and you can then move your layers around, do what you want in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to change this to Lime Decal Diffuse. Call it whatever you want. I'm just going to go with that for now. And I'm going to go Save DXT5 with Mipmap and click OK. Okay, so I can close that down now. So I now have my new decal all set up. But obviously I need to apply that to the actual refill station. So if we reopen up the refill station within Giant's Editor, you can see we have the original one, and I'm doing it this way and not through Notepad because you'll be able to see the change much clearer here in Giant's Editor. If you have your material editing window open, if you don't, then go Window, Material Editing, and then this will come up. It might not necessarily be over here, but you can just drag it wherever you want it. I've put it over here, but that's fine. We'll close down the user attributes because we don't need that. So now if I actually open up this one here and go into the visual, which is the visual for the tank unit itself, we then have this one here for the decals. So if you hover over this, you can see the path file name there is obviously refill station decal diffuse. So if I click on this little open box here and now choose the one that I've just created and click open and then close that down, you can see now the other one has been replaced with the one I've just created, and it all matches in and looks pretty good in my opinion. You can adjust the size and do what you want with it there, but the alignment has to be somewhat correct because it's using that for the placement against the actual unit itself, or the mesh I should say, for the decal. So if you make it too big, it may go outside of this particular mesh and then obviously not look correct. So placement is not overly important, but the size of it is, because it needs to wrap around the unit and everything else. So just mess around with that, see what you can make of it, and change it accordingly to whatever's going to suit you. So we now have this set up in here. I can go ahead and save that, close that down. I now don't need this particular decal because it's no longer being used, so that's fantastic. So now what I need to do is obviously tell this I want it to be a lime refill station and not something else. So we're going to use what we already have here and make changes appropriately. So I'm going to take the fertilizer refill tank XML, drag that over and make a copy of it. I'm going to do the same with the mod desk, so I'm going to drag that one over, make a copy of it. Now for your icons here and your store details or your store decals or whatever your HUDs, I guess this is a HUD, whatever you want to call it, picture, let's call it a picture or an image. So just go with whatever you want to call it. You're going to need to recreate those or create those yourselves. So it can be a little bit tricky sometimes. I tend to go into Giants Editor, just get somewhere roughly where I want to be to get a half decent image. Something like maybe that. And I just use snipping tool, which is part of Windows 7. If you're using a different version of Windows, then obviously you need to work with that and see what you can get out of it. So I'm just going to try and keep it even as possible and just do something like that. It's not perfect, but it will do the job. And I'm just going to save that. I'm going to save it as a PNG, and you can call it whatever you want. So I'm just going to go save, and we'll close down that. Okay, so if I now just basically put that into there, I'm going to open this up in paint.net, and I'm going to resize this because it needs to be 512 by 512. So I'm going to go image resize 512 by 512 and click OK. Obviously this might make your image look a bit weird, so you'll need to perhaps maybe adjust certain things within your image. You could potentially do something like let's see, resize, let's do 512, whoops, 512 by let's try 1024 and see what that looks like. It's a bit too tall. Well, anyway, irregardless, the image is you'll need to play around with that and see what you can get out of it. I'm just going to go with that for now anyway. So let's do file, save as, and we'll call this store underscore line refill station, TDS, save. Let's do that. We'll try that. Might not look very good actually, but you're going to need to obviously have a bit of a play around with your image there and see what you can make of it. That's not the best, if I'm honest, but it will be fine for now. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up again in paint.net, and I'm going to go image resize 256 by 512. Let's try that. That'll do. And then we'll go file, save as, and I want to change this to icon. Save. Okay, so we now have store and icon. Let's put that back out there somewhere. That'll be okay. And then what we want to do is make our changes appropriately within the XMLs. So let's do this one first. So I want to change this from fertilizer to lime. So let's do lime on that one, and then what I'll do is I'll take a copy of that name and then just overwrite these like so. That's going to be Culk because that's what I have it set up on the map that I'm working with. This one I'm going to change over to lime, and this one down here I'm going to change to Culk because that's the fill type and that's fill type, so we want to make sure that everything shows up correctly there. And then the file ID or file name is for our i3D itself, so I need to take the name from the i3D there and then overwrite that one. And everything else there you can leave pretty much the same. The price, you might want to have a play around with that, so you can set what it costs to buy it, and all the rest of it up to you. I'm just going to leave that as it is. So now if we open up the mod desk, need to make some changes here, so you can do whatever you want in here. So I might do something like lime edit by like so. I'm not going to worry about translations. You can mess about with all that stuff if you want to. Placeable refilled tanks, so let's do placeable lime refill tank. You're going to need to change all of this stuff in here as well, so let's do something like lime refill tank, which can be lime refill tank which can be placed on the map. So we'll do something like that. That'll be fine. Again, all this other stuff, you change logs, stuff like that, you can do what you want with that. So I'm going to take that from there, put that up there, and then I'm going to delete all of that stuff. And again, I'm going to delete all the translations, and there goes the phone. Apologies. So we'll do that, and let's separate that a little bit. Okay, so store item is the XML that we just created, this one here. So I need to take the name from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that. So let's do file, save as, lime refill tank. So if I now come into here, take the name from there, and then I can paste that into there like so. Delete those, don't need them anymore. Okay, so we only want one of these particular entries for each section. So the store item stuff, I can delete all of that stuff there, and I can delete all of that stuff there. We only want one of each. So if I now come back over to here, you need to copy over what you set up in the XML for the tank itself into your mod desk. So we have shop item lime refill tank, so I'm going to copy that line and then replace this one here like so. And again, not worried about the translations in this particular case, so I'm just going to change that to lime tank. And then this one here for the function, I need to take that from there, make a copy of it and bring it over, paste it into there. again, not worried about translations. So now I can actually set all this up, so I can come in here and go, you can refill your lime spreaders at this tank, and this stuff here is not relevant because there is no such thing as a big bag in the store for lime, at least not standard. A modded one there may be, but standard there is not. So you can refill your lime spreaders at this tank. That's perfectly fine. You can type whatever you want in there to be displayed. So we have all of the information there that we're going to need, so that's fine. I can go ahead and save that. So I now have all the entries set up in the mod desk there that I need to have set up. I have all the entries here that I need to set up, I believe, so I can close that one down as well. Okay, so one thing I do need to do actually is put the HUD or the link to the images here for the store and the icon. So go back into this XML here, because at the moment it's pointing towards something different, I would imagine. Depends on what I called it. So let's have a look what we've got. So store lime refill tank. Yes, so that's different. So I'm going to take the name from there and then paste over this. So let's highlight all of that and go like so. So now that matches in, so that's fine. So that should be that one. Okay, so we'll close that one down then. And I'm going to take the name here for the icon and go back into the mod desk and overwrite this one here, like so. If you don't do that, obviously it won't show up correctly in the store or in the mod selection page, so you need to make sure you link all of those incorrectly. So we now have all of the parts there set up where we need them to be. So I'm going to close that down because I don't need that anymore. So really now all it is a case of is just zipping this up, putting it into your mod folder, putting it into game and testing it out. Okay, so I wanted to just show you this. I've got loads of different mods. This is a map that I've been playing for a while now and keep editing here and there and everywhere. So if we actually look down through the list here, what we're looking for is our placeable lime refill tank. And it's showing up with the appropriate icon image there and everything else. So, you know, that's what that's for there. We'll select that and click start. And then once we get into the actual map here itself, I'm just going to go into the store straight away. So, and we'll just go into here, and I just want to check that it's actually showing up in here before we go any further. So let's scroll across, and there we go. So we have our lime tank all showing up and everything there, and it shows us our appropriate information and everything else. So let's just see if we can actually buy one of these. So I'll just put it down here for now, that's fine, doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to click there, something like that, that'll do. And there we go, we have our lime tank all placed. So let's just see if we have any errors. No, we do not, at least not at the moment anyway. It's a bit difficult to actually see them all in amongst what I've got on this particular map, but it doesn't look like we've got any there, so that's fine. So I'm going to close that down. So I guess then let's see if this actually works. So if I come round to fertilizer spreaders, let's do this one, that'll do. And you can see this has the HUD for lime, so that's fine. So we'll go into here and let's just select it, reset it, bring it back over here so I don't have to drive too far. And I'm going to go and get my tractor wherever that is. Actually, I think that is somewhere over the other side of the map, so let's do that and reset. There we go, that's fine. So let's just see if it actually refills with caulk then, or lime. So if we get into here, take the handbrake off, get rid of that, don't need that. Connect this up. So as you can see, this particular spreader is completely empty. So if we get up close, it pops the little hood up for us, so that's fantastic, that's a good sign. So if I press refill, there we go. So we are now filling up with lime perfectly fine. So that's basically pretty straightforward setup there, how to convert or change, or whatever you want to call it, set up a refilling station for lime. So I could now take this to a field and potentially spread it around. So let's close that down. We'll just test this out, make sure it does actually spray. Now I have no idea if this field is actually fertilised. It may be, but if we press that, there we go. So yeah, the field's already fertilised, but it is working, it's doing what it's meant to do, and it is spraying lime. So if you have the GMK mod installed and all the rest of it, that will work for you. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.